apply grace where necessary, but change what you know you need to change.
His grace is sufficient because his power is made perfect in our weakness. We know that even when we mess it all up,
And we do.
and we do, that his grace is sufficient. So what that tells us is that we need to apply grace to ourselves.
Like we go through so many thoughts about ourselves, and we just always want to run ourselves down.
Yeah, we find it very hard to apply grace to ourselves and just to say, I messed it up, or I made a mistake, or whatever, it's going to be okay. And I don't deserve to beat myself up over and over and over for that.
That's right. We need to, like, we often talk about the ABCs of living. You know, A is for awareness, B is for belief, C is for consistency. And that is what we need to do, especially in our weight loss journey. But we often forget to apply grace.
Yeah, and so we have often called it the ABCGs of weight loss or of healthy living, because we have to apply grace, because we are going to mess up.
That's right.
And it's just part of it.
And we do. And probably we mess up multiple times in a week. Like if you go a whole day and you've done really well, you're like, wow, I feel so good about myself. But when you mess up, you think that's the end. You beat yourself up. You may as well ditch it all. You may as well just give it all up and stop trying.
And so it's applicable to our weight loss journey, but it's applicable to so many other areas of our life too. Like, you know, I think about myself right now with small kids, and a friend of mine were recently talking, and, you know, she said, oh, I lost it on my kids the other day, and she just couldn't let it go. Like she was feeling so bad about how she had, you know, spoken too sternly or yelled or what, you know, whatever the circumstance was. And we just can't let it go. We can't apply that grace. And we certainly don't want to abuse grace, because that's not the point either.
No.
But we have to apply grace because we do make mistakes. It's okay to apologize to your small kids and say, you know, I'm sorry that I got upset. That's a great model for them. And then apply grace to yourself and move on and let it go. Because when we carry that weight of all of that guilt and shame, and we don't apply grace to ourselves, then that just spirals us out of control. And I mean, we're really no use to anybody then, because we're just carrying this huge weight, and we have to learn to apply grace and let it go.
And when we don't, the whole feeling that overtakes us turns into a feeling of guilt and shame. And we know what that does. Like pretty soon we just feel terrible about ourselves. And well, we're not going to be living out the purpose that God has for us when we're down and out, when we're feeling defeated.
Yeah.
So grace helps us get back on track again. It allows us to forgive ourselves. Sometimes we have to forgive others. We have to apply grace to others as well. But right now we really are specifically talking about applying grace for ourselves in our own journey. But grace is something that we need every single day. But we love the verse in 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9, where it says, I'm going to read it to you right now. It says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. And then it goes on a little bit further, for when I am weak, then I am strong. Like when we use grace, it just gives us this sense that we can get back up again and we can do it again. We can carry forward, move forward with confidence, knowing that God has forgiven us.
Like we said, we don't want to abuse grace either. We don't want to just use that as an excuse to carry on with our bad behavior. And, you know, I mean, if we talk about weight loss again, we often talk about like, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. We can't keep doing that, you know, not eating all day so that we binge at night cycle that causes that guilt and shame to start, and then just keep applying grace to ourselves every day and not make changes.
That's right.
Right? Like we don't want to do that either. We want to apply all of these biblical principles to our life so that we can live out the best life that God has for each one of us. He has good plans for our lives. And so when we do look to the wisdom in the Bible, we like to call it the blueprint for best living, then, you know, that helps us to make wise choices in what we do. We often talk about treat your body like a temple, not a trash can, right? Well, that doesn't mean not eating all day so that we can go binge, right? So let's apply what the wisdom from the Bible to these aspects of our life where we maybe feel like we're falling short, where we're struggling to apply grace. Let's look to the wisdom in the Bible and go, okay, well, You know, if the Bible talks about treating my body like a temple, well, what does that mean? That means fueling it well. Or, you know, maybe if it's about small kids, like I was talking about earlier, what does the Bible say to us in regards to wisdom for parenting, right? It talks about like parents, don't exacerbate your children. Children, obey your parents. So how do we apply that biblical wisdom to our life today so that we can apply grace when necessary and then just carry on putting into practice those good habits, the wisdom from the Bible into our life?
I think that's what it's all about, is good habits and striving to live out those good habits. We know that, you know, we are, you know, I'm going to say this, we are what we eat. We are what we think about. If we're constantly thinking about food, that's going to make us maybe go and binge. Well, what do we need to do? We need to apply grace, but then we need to change our thought pattern. Like there are some habits that we need to change, and we need to be willing, which is another key word, is willing to look at how we are living. Are we following the blueprint? Are we treating our body like a temple? Are we starving ourselves, like you said, all day so that we binge at night? If we're doing that and then we feel so terrible because we've binged again, well, it means that maybe we're going to have to change a behavior pattern so that we eliminate the binging at night. Maybe you do need to eat some things throughout the day. Maybe you need to look at what's in your fridge. Maybe you need to look at what's in your pantry so that we can help ourselves out so that we don't have to binge.
That's right. And, you know, we're not saying that any of this stuff is easy. It's not. It's challenging to make changes to our like regular patterns, our regular habits, right? Because we do them without even thinking, right? We run on autopilot most of the time. And I mean, just think about driving to the grocery store, and half the time you don't even remember driving, right?
That's right.
You park your car and you're like, oh my goodness, did I put my signal on? Did I stop at that red light? How did I get here, right? We're on autopilot. And it's like that with so many of our habits. Like, you know, sometimes at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'll go, did I even brush my teeth this morning? But yeah, I did, because it's just the very first thing I do when I wake up in the morning.
Autopilot.
We're on autopilot. We're on autopilot. We're on autopilot. And so you might be on autopilot just going all day long without eating. Or you might be on autopilot all day just being frustrated with your kids. You might be on autopilot all day just nattering away, nitpicking at your spouse, right? We do these things on autopilot, and we have to start with the awareness piece of going, what am I doing? Like, where am I? And how do I create a new belief system and then be consistent about it with these habits, and then apply grace where necessary?
That's right. And I'm going to say to that point, sometimes we call that a pattern interrupt. Sometimes we just need to like stop, find out what we're doing so that we can change it up. You know, maybe we're going to say, well, that was then, today's a new day. Today I'm going to do it this way. We maybe have to stop that autopilot for a day and really think about and process what we're doing for every step and every decision, so that we are able to change the things that need changing. Yes, we still want to apply grace, but like you said, we can't just use that as an excuse. Oh, I can do it again and apply grace tonight. No, we have to change and look at what we're doing. It's some self-reflection.
And you can put things in your way to help you along the way to kind of knock you out of that autopilot, right? To do those pattern interrupts. Like if you're binging every night and you have a house full of junk food, well, next time you go to the grocery store, don't restock it. And then when you go to binge that night, you won't have anything to binge on. You might have some veggies, and that's a different kind of binge, let me tell you. And
yeah,
so,
because when's the last time you binged on broccoli?
yeah, right? Yeah. And so, you know, there's things we can do like that. Or, you know, if you're struggling with like nattering away at your spouse, instead write yourself notes around the house of things that you're thankful for that your spouse does. And then instead of nattering away and nitpicking, you say, wow, thank you so much for emptying the dishwasher. Or focus on the things that they have done that are serving you well, right? Like we got to change it up. We got to change the focus. And then we have to apply grace when we do fall back into those old patterns, because we will, but we got to get back up and try again and carry on.
So I think that's really all we wanted to say today. It's apply grace where necessary, but change what you know you need to change.
Knowledge is only power when there's action put behind it.
Exactly. So we have the knowledge, so we need to put some action behind it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're new here, welcome. We are Ruth and Casey. We're a mother-daughter team, and we just hope that this video has encouraged you in your faith journey. We also would love to invite you to come be part of our email community. We have over 20,000 women on our email list right now, and we'd love to invite you to come be part of that too. We send out a weekly email, typically on Fridays, with encouragement and tips for healthy living, essentially, from a biblical perspective. And sometimes we share with you exciting things that we have going on as well. So we'd love to invite you to join that. We will put the link below. And what else?
I think that's about all. Just remember the ABCs of living, but it's actually the ABCGs of living. So let's apply some grace.
Yeah. We always like to end our videos with one of two things. So today we're going to tell you both. The first one is this: remember to treat your body like a temple, not a trash can.
And remember that you are a beautiful woman chosen for greatness, and we believe in you.